purpose of improving physical condition as well as fertility of soil is referred to as green manuring, and manures obtained by this method is known as green manure. So basically, whenever we use the crops by which we can increase the fertility of the soil or amount of nutrients in the soil, it will be green manuring. So the use of green manure, crop production is recorded in China as early as around 34 BC. So there are types of manure. So first is green manure in manuring in situ. Any crop or plant, generally leguminous. So because we just use the legume crops for manuring, so grown and plugged in situ is called green manuring in situ. Like whenever we will just grow plants and then they use directly just plugging out the plant in the particular field, it will be provide the nutrients to the soil. So this type of manuring is called manuring in situ. For example, Sesbania, that is Sesbania speciosa, Dhancha, Sesbania aculeata, Sunham, Philispera, cowpea, that is Aculeata, green gram, moong bean, Vigna radiata, black gram, Viggo, and birdseed. Then next type is green leaf manuring. Green leaf manuring consists of gathering green biomass from nearby location like burnt field boundaries and adding into the soil. Like whenever we will just collect the green leaf, the side places, then it will be called, or it will be consist gathering of green biomass from nearby location, then it is green leaf manuring. For example, like auriculata, neem, that is Arecta indica, Glycerida, so that is Glycerida maculata, Luciana, that is Leucocephala, Cassia that is Tephrosia purpurea, Ex niguana, Karanji, Calotropis, etc. So basically, the green manuring, which are two types like legumes or non-legumes. Legumes are divided into two: green manures and green leaf manures. Then again, non-legume are two types: green manure and green leaf manure. So in legumes, green manures are dhancha, sunham, green gram, cow, soya, and the green leaf manures, for example, Glyceridia cassia, Pongem, and bubble. Non-legumes like green manure and green leaf manure. Green manure is sunflower, sesbania, buckwheat, Plasmodium, Centrosem, and Caratularia, and non-legume green leaf manure, that is Calotropis, Athora, and Thespecia. Then advantage of green manuring. Advantage of green manure, like, will be had in improving physical and chemical properties of soil. For example, builds build up soil structure, improve tilth, formation of crumbs in heavy soil, increases water holding capacity. Next is green manure crops absorb nutrients from the lower layer of soil and leave them in the soil. In the soil surface layer, when plugged in for use by the succeeding crops. Then third one, help to maintain organic manure, organic material status of soil, and it acts as a source of and energy to soil microbes and increase their population. Fifth one, helps in release of nutrients in available form for use by the crop. For example, GM crop, like genetically modified crop, increases the solubility of lime phosphate because of increase in microbial activity. Then sixth, it prevents leaching of nutrients to lower layer. Then it increases aeration of dry soil by stimulating the activities of surface films of air. And it reduces soil moisture and protects the soil the erosion action of water as it forms canopy cover on the soil. The next is leguminous green manure plant helps fixation and adds the same to the soil. For example, like 60 to 100 kg per hectare in single season, and the green manure 60 to 200 kg nitrogen per hectare. That is Caratularia juncea, that is sun hemp. Another type of green manuring, like it will be provide the biomass is 7 ton per hectare biomass, 160 kg nitrogen per hectare, which is provided by Dhaincha, and technical name is Sesbania aculeata. The next one is 25 to 26 ton per hectare biomass, It provides it help regulation. For example, Sheshbenia acuculata, then Dhincha to soil or Dhincha in soil when applied continuously for 4 to 5 seasons. Green manuring crop like Arginum mexicana and soils. Then certain green manure like Pongemia and neem leaves are reported to control insects, increases yield to the extent of 15 to 20% compared to no green manuring. So, like that, the green manure which provide more nutrients to the soil, and it is increase the quality of the soil, and the soil health will be good. Legume green manure crop, multi-purpose use like short duration, fast growing, high nitrogen accumulation ability. Tolerance to shade, flood, drought, and adverse temperatures, wide ecological adaptability, then efficiency, early onset nitrogen fixation, high nitrogen accumulation rates, then timely release of nutrients, and photoperiod insensitivity. Then high seed production and high seed viability, easy in incorporation, then ability to cross inoculate or responsive to inoculation, pest and disease resistant, high nitrogen sinks in underground plant parts. Then next one is vermicomposting contents. So that is commonly used species, preparation of vermicompost, enemies of earthworm, benefits of vermicompost, use of vermicompost in agriculture, origin and evolution of earthworm, basic characteristics of earthworm suitable for vermicomposting, maintenance of base culture, and methods of vermicomposting. So first is vermicomposting. Vermicomposting, Darwin in 1881 was the first to show that earthworm affect soil formation and development. Commonly used species are like Escherichia foetida, Paranoiax excavatus, Eudrilus eugenia, Lumbricus rubellus, then Lumbricus terrestris, Atrillus eugenia, African night crawler, that is Achinia foetida, tiger worm, Paranoix excavatus, that is Indian blue. So uh, these are the basically species of the earthworm which use for vermicompost. So vermiculture. Vermiculture Vermiculture is culture of earthworms. Earthworms harness the benefit and convert organic waste into valuable products known as cast, which contains biofertilizers, vitamins, enzymes, antibiotics, and protein nutrients. Hence, earthworms are called as artificial fertilizer factories. And basically, the vermicompost, which is really very good for the crop or to increase the fertility of the soil, and it provide a very good aeration to the soil. So there is like vermiculture. Vermiculture, that means culturing of earthworms. So next is, so basically for vermicompost, it should be like 10 meter, like it should be 10 meter long, 1 meter width, and the height should be 0.3 meter. So in irrigated area and heavy rainfall areas, it should be above the ground. So the drench with chloropyrifos 2 milliliter per liter of H2O, leave for 1 week, and then go for filling the pit in the following manner. So basically, like first should be coconut coir or any material which is having higher WHC, like water holding capacity. Then second layer should be dung and biogas slurry. Third should be crop residue. Then fourth one, dung biogas slurry. Fifth one is green leaves. Then black soil, and then paddy straw or sugarcane trash. And the crop residue should be like 15 to 10 centimeter thickness. Black soil is 3 to 5 centimeter, and other layer should be 6 to 10 centimeter. So this kind we have to just prepare a trench or the different layers. So firstly, apply water. It should be 30 to 60 liters for 16 days. Leave 1000 to 2000 worms of suitable species like E. eugenia at about 10 centimeter depth. So worm multiplication and compost production will be higher if sugarcane crush, sunflower or bajra residues are used. So keep the pit always moist. It should be 30 to 60% moisture by daily watering, and watering should be 50 liter during summer or twice a week during the rainy season, because water will provide the good moisture and humidity. Provide shade to the pit. Then vermicompost production is seen after 45 days of living worms to the pit. So it will be complete in 80 to 90 days, and then residues will be converted to vermicompost up to 75%. So to collect or take vermicompost from the pit, leave the pit without watering for about 3 days. Worm will move to deeper and layer due to lack of moisture in the upper layer. So then we have to take out the compost from the upper layer and sieve the compost and store it in a gunny bag under shade. So about 2 to 4 vermicompost will be produced from 1 gunta area in 3 months, and 6 to 12 ton vermicompost will be produced from 1 gunta in a year. So the earthworm complete their life cycle within 90 days, by which time they multiply about 40 to 50 times. So in vermicompost eggs, nymphs and adults, that is like eggs, all form and in all stages are found. After that, enemies of earthworm, that is termites, ants, rats, centipedes, frog, birds, pig, etc. So how we have to control? We have to spray of chloropyrifos. It should be 2 ml per liter. Then maintain 40 to 50% moisture in the pit for controlling termites, ants and rats. Then plant turmeric plants around the pit, because turmeric, which will be inhibit basically these enemies. And then open a small trench around the pit and put biotin powder in it. So now what are the benefits of vermicompost? So firstly, it contains NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potash. It should be 0.8%, then phosphorus 1.1%, and another is 0.5%. It contains micronutrients like magnesium, ferrous, boron, zinc, etc., and the growth regulators and beneficial NO. So it increases water holding capacity of the soil. It increases aeration in the soil, then decrease the salinity and increase the availability of nutrients. So it reduces soil erosion, its decreased cost of cultivation, and its reduction in incidence of diseases and pest, and it increase the yield. So these are the benefits of vermicompost. Now, use of vermicompost in agriculture. So first is for almost all crops, apply vermicompost 2.5 ton per acre at the time of sowing. Vermiculture in situ, then the leaf worm in the field. Maintain sufficient moisture by regular irrigation and lot of crop management. So the crop residues have to be there in the field. Then don't apply chemicals or chemical fertilizer to soil, but through the leaves. So there should be spray the vermi wash on the crop. It contains like micronutrients, growth regulators, and MO, coelomic fluid, antibacterial, primary degradation by microorganisms, and secondary degradation by earthworm. So all microorganisms multiply several times in earthworm gulls. These microorganisms do biodegradation and actual earthworms. And the basic characteristics of earthworm. So use of vermicompost in agriculture, like for almost all crops, apply vermicompost 2.5 ton per acre at the time of sowing. Then the vermiculturing in leaves form in the field, maintain sufficient moisture by regular irrigation and lot of crop residues. So, what are the basic characteristics of earthworm which is suitable for vermicomposting? First is like should have high rates of consumption. So it should have high adaptability to varying environmental factors like temperature, rainfall, relative humidity, etc. So the soil temperature should soil temperature should not be less than 35 degrees centigrade, no stagnation of water for 45 days. And should have feeding preference and adaptability to wide range of organic material. And we have to maintenance of base culture for initial multiplication. Best substrate is cow dung. So for best substrate, that is cow dung, base culture should be multiplied on this substrate, and for any commercial value, so the base culture should be multiplied on this substrate. For any commercial venture, maintenance of seed culture is a must. So mixing of cow dung plus pieces of banana, pseudostem in 1:1 give more number of worms due to more multiplication rate, and 1-year-old semi-decomposed rice straw makes the worm to lay as many contents as possible. Uh, so up to here we just completed species of vermicompost and what are the benefits of vermicompost in agriculture, how we have to use the agriculture, and how we have to prepare the vermicompost, and what are the advantages of vermicompost. Now let's come to the green manuring, in which we will discuss about content of green manuring, types of green manuring, advantage of green manuring, and their desirable characteristics for legume green manures. Legume effect has been successfully utilized in green manuring. The amount of nitrogen fixed by ordinary green manure, crop like dhencha, sunhemp, etc., may average about 60 kg per hectare. However, the amount of nitrogen accumulated by green manure crop is not likely to be able to provide to the level of nitrogen currently needed by high yielding varieties. Therefore, integrated use of both chemical fertilizer and green manuring is best solution. Now, green manuring. So, the practice of plugging or turning into the soil undecomposed green plant tissue for the purpose of improving physical condition as well as fertility of soil is referred to as green manuring, and the manures obtained by this method is known as green manures. So, the use of green manure in crop production is recorded in China as early as 1134 BC. Like Cassia auriculata, neem, Azarecta indica, Glacieridia, Glaciericida, maculate, Luciana, Leucocephala, Cassiatora, Tephrosia, Purpurea, etc. So, a classification of green manure. Basically, there are two types of manures, legumes and non-legumes. Legumes in which green manures, for example, dhancha, sunhemp, green gram, cowpea and soybean. And the other green leaf manure, for example, Glaciacedia cassia, Pongamia, glabra and subabul. After that, non-legumes. Basically, there are two types of non-legumes. in which green manure and green leaf manure. Green manure, for example, sunflower, sesbania, buckwheat, desmodium, centrosam, and carotularia. After that, green leaf manure, for example, calotropis, adathoda, and thespacia. Now, what are the advantages of green manuring and how we can use the green manures? So first is helps in improving physical and chemical properties of soil. For example, builds up soil structure, improve tilth formation of crumbs in heavy soil, increases water holding capacity. Green manure crops absorb nutrients from the lower layer of soil and leave them in the soil surface layer when plugged in for use by the succeeding crops. It will be helps to maintain the organic manure status of soil and acts as source of food and energy to soil microbes and increases their population. It helps in release of nutrients in available form for use by the crops. For example, GM crops, that means genetically modified crop, increases the solubility of lime phosphate because of increase in microbial activity. It prevents leaching of nutrients to lower layer. Next is increases aeration of rice soil by stimulating the activities of surface films of algae and bacteria. It reduces soil temperature and protect the soil from the erosion action of water as it forms canopy cover on the soil. Leguminous green manure plants helps in nitrogen fixation and adds the same to the soil. For example, like 60 to 100 kg nitrogen per hectare in single season, and the green manure which can provide 60 to 200 kg nitrogen per hectare. That's why the use of the green manure is very important to increase the fertility of the soil or to increase the nutrient ratio in the soil. Like Sunham, so there is 17 ton per hectare biomass, 160 kg nitrogen per hectare, and the Dhaincha which can provide 25 to 26 ton per hectare biomass, 18.5 kg nitrogen per hectare, and it helps in soil amelioration, for example, Sesbania aculeata. After that, Dhaincha in soil, when applied continuously for 4 to 5 seasons, green leaf manuring crops like Argenon mexicana and Tamarindus indicus has buffering effect in sodic soils. So, like that, certain green manure like Pongamia and neem leaves are reported to control insects. It increases yield to the extent of 15 to 20% compared to no green manuring. After that, desirable characteristics for legume green manure crop. So first is there are the multi-purpose use. Secondly, short duration, fast growing, high nutrient accumulation ability, tolerance to shade, flood, drought, and adverse temperatures. Then, wide ecological adaptability, efficiency in use of water, early onset of biological nitrogen fixation, high nitrogen accumulation rates, then the next timely release of nutrients, then photoperiod insensitivity. So these are the desirable characteristics for legume green manure crops. Then high seed production, high seed viability, then it can easy in incorporation, ability to cross, inoculate or responsive to inoculation, pest and disease resistance, and high nitrogen sinks in underground plant parts. After that, vermicomposting contents. Vermicomposting contents like it commonly used species, preparation of vermicompost, enemies of earthworms, benefits of vermicompost, use of vermicompost in agriculture, origin and evolution of earthworm, basic characteristics of earthworm suitable for vermicomposting, maintenance of base culture, methods of vermicomposting. So first of all, what is vermicomposting? Darwin in 1881 was the first to show that earthworms affect soil formation and development. Its commonly used species are Escherichia foetida, Pyrenoics excavatus, Eudrilus eugenia, Lumbricus terrestris eugenia, African night craveler, Escherichia foetida, that is tiger worm, then Pyrenoics excavatus, it is Indian blue. After that, vermiculture is culturing of earthworms. Earthworm effectively harness the beneficial soil microflora, destroy soil pathogens, and convert organic wastes into valuable products known as cast, which contains biofertilizer, vitamins, enzymes, antibiotics, hormones, and proteinaceous worm biomass. Hence, earthworms are called as artificial fertilizer factories. How? Preparation of vermicompost. So first of all, the pit size we require 10 meter, 1 meter and 0.3 meter. So in irrigated area and heavy rainfall areas above ground, it should be drenched with chloropyriphosphate 2 ml per liter of water, leave for 1 week and then go for filling the pit in the following manner. So basically, first layer should be coconut coir or any material which is having higher water holding capacity. Then secondly, dung and biomass slurry. Third one is the crop residue. Then dung biomass slurry, green leaves, black soil, and then paddy straw, sugarcane truss. So basically, there is the arrangement of the pit. So it should be the crop residues 15 to 10 centimeter thickness, black soil should be 3 to 5 centimeter, and other layer 6 to 10 centimeter. After that, we have to apply water 30 to 60 liter for 16 days. Leave 1000 to 2000 worms of suitable species, that is Eugenia, at about 10 centimeter depth. After that, worm multiplication and compost production will be higher if sugarcane truss, sunflower, or bajra residues are used. After that, keep the pit always moist, 30 to 60% moisture, by daily watering 50 liter during the summer or twice a week during the rainy season, because we have to maintain the moisture content up to 60%. That's why we require water daily. Provide shade to the pit. Vermicompost production is seen after 45 days of leaving worms to the pit. So it will be complete in 80 to 90 days. Residue will be converted to vermicompost 75%. So to collect, take vermicompost from the pit, leave the pit without watering for about 3 days. Worm will move to deeper layer due to lack of moisture in the upper layer. So take out the compost from the upper layer and sieve the compost and store it in a gunny bag under shed. About 2 to 4 ton vermicompost will be produced from 1 gunta area in 3 months, and 6 to 12 ton vermicompost will be produced from 1 gunta in 1 year. So like that, earthworm complete their life cycle within 90 days, by which time they multiply about 40 to 50 times. In vermicompost, eggs, nymphs, and adults, all forms or stages are found. Thank you.